Today, guys, I'm here in Thailand. I'm far away from Europe now, so I hope communication is clear. And I have a couple of great things to share with you regarding enterprise agility. What's my plan today? I will tell you what has been my experience in the last year in terms of tools, which tools I've been using to try to accelerate speed in the company. And I'm glad. I think most of the consultants now are all around the world, so I'm glad of that. So, what your mom told you about, or forgot to tell you about, enterprise agility and continuous change. So, before starting, I know that many of colleagues around the world have lost their jobs or are in the process of changing. So, I came up with this free initiative of what I call the organizational peel, that are videos, 5-minute videos with different topics related to Agile for Agile consultant. It's free. I was trying to help the community, so you can just try to find the organizational peel or the link and access and choose a topic. And in 5 minutes, I try to bring you some knowledge. And that's the plan, right? So let's start today. I'm very sad I'm not in Bosnia now, but I hope I can be there next year. So let me try to talk about what has been happening and what is accelerating and what is enterprise agility. My plan after the session is that you understand or you learn new techniques. But let's talk about that in a couple of minutes. One thing we need to understand is what we call exponential pace of change. At in the market at the moment, we have unexpected events. I'm not going to talk about unexpected event. Everyone know what I'm talking about, but we have so many unexpected events. So companies started doing some time ago short work cycles, which means that they produce more disruptions in the market. Every time, every week, companies are releasing something new, and then that produces a lot of changes in the market. It's impacting. Maybe you want to release a product, and then at the point you're going to release it, someone else release a better product. And what do you do there? Then we also have people are interconnected. So we have teams in different parts of the world where they are building massive shared knowledge. We have artificial intelligence. And I've been trying a couple of cool things in the last few weeks. For example, some pieces of artificial intelligence would write articles or remove people from pictures or help you write a better article proposing what's the next line. And this is evolving quite quickly. So it's helping like accelerate change in companies as you need to adapt faster and faster. And then we have big data. All these things are making companies change faster and faster. But unfortunately, human beings are not prepared for that. And when I say that, is you, me, the person working with you, everyone, as our brains cannot catch up the speed of exponential change, because human beings, we need time to evolve some idea and then work on that, reflect on that, and then we integrate this into our life. So it's hard, but I will teach you some techniques in order to accelerate change, right? And obviously, this is accelerating market disruptions. And every time we're going to have more and more and more. And maybe in the future, if you're using Scrum or any framework, sprints are going to be shorter and shorter, maybe not already one day, right? So let me talk about this. You heard about this, but I try to give a different perspective as I cannot ignore it. So when we are talking about companies, most of the disruption have been inside the company, right? You go to work, you are producing a product, then someone produces a disruption with another product. But with the COVID, you know what happened. Many countries had quarantine. They disrupted the old style of life. I don't know how it's in there. It was great here in Thailand. We didn't have any quarantine, but what they did is they locked the different neighborhoods. So we were not able to move from one area to another, but we have freedom to do whatever we want. But every country took something else. But when you break the people's routine, then that increases stress and impacting mental health. We human beings are sociable. So there have been many changes, and I hope that you learn something. At least myself, I learned to be more resilient. It's like a journey for everyone, right? And also we have ataraxia. Ataraxia is basically a state of mental tranquility. When you work from home, the stress you have is different than the stress you have when you go to work. The brain works in a different way. So, for example, if you go to work, you need to drive, you need to go there, you have a stress when you go in the car, you go in the office, you interact with people. Mainly, it is about interaction with others. When you are from home, there is a different state of mind. It's tranquility in some way, but also chaos in another. And then this ataraxia means that your brain is not working, does not have the same levels of stress. They have different kinds of stress. And this is why when we are planning for people to go back to the office, we need to be very careful. We need to do it slowly. Otherwise, the brain is not going to time. It's not going to have a time to adapt, right? Then we have possible changes at workplace. We don't know what's going to happen next month, next week. Hopefully, everything is going to be fine. I'm very positive. And people also have fear of the unknown, like, for example, conscious and unconscious mental thought, where you basically are thinking that everything is going to be fine, but mainly subconsciously you are thinking, your brain is thinking, well, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what's going to happen with the company, and that's bothering you. Maybe you don't sleep well, you don't have a good time, but then this is a good time to just try to check with your social network, with your friends to support you. And also we have other emotional aspect. Today they tell you that COVID is vaccination is going to be next week, and then next week something will fail and tell you you're going to be in 4 months or 3 months, and then these ups and downs impact your emotions, right? So I've been trying to work in different areas during COVID to try to help you accelerate change in their company. And I wanted to show you something is a very important concept. We saw some of them last year, but I wanted just to remind you in order to guys to make sure that we are on the same page. So business agility is the capacity for the company to adapt to new market disruptions, right? To try to create an advantage. But the important thing, if you take a look at the screen, you're gonna see that it says without negatively impacting on its organizational health. And this is from my book, Leading Exponential Change. And in here, what we want is to make sure that whatever we do is that not decrease organizational health. And what is organizational health? Well, organizational health, from my perspective, and I wanted to have like kind of clear explanation so everyone is on the same page, is a psychologically safety plus creation of sustainable valuable value in perpetuity. So it means whatever you produce you have to be able to produce it in perpetuity. If you, for example, make people work 100 hours a week, then that's not sustainable, and then decreases the organizational health. So whatever you do has to be sustainable. So now with COVID, we need to make sure we understand and we need to keep up these same levels of organizational health. And then the last concept I want you to know is what we call resilience, which is basically the ability for you to recover. In real life, we have different kind of resilience, like psychological resilience. Imagine, I don't know, you have a relationship with someone and then you split up, and then after months, you realize that you could overcome that situation. Then you have social resilience in companies. This is very important when people around you support you to become stronger. And also in companies, we have what we call procedural resilience, when the procedures in the company help you recover, right? So in company, we generally have the emotional, which is the first one we have seen, plus the social and emotional, right? So that, I hope we are everyone on the same page, and let's go. So imagine that you are in an organization, right? How we make this organization respond faster to market disruption and be sustainable, that you are able to be a great coach, change coach, right? Could be an HR, could be an agile coach, could be a change consultant. How you are a great coach. Let me tell you what happened. Imagine an organization. What we find in an organization is people who want to change, people who do not want to change, team who want to change or do not want to change with people who want to change or do not want to change. Then we have these teams interacting with teams that have more conflict and they do not want to change or have different perspectives. Then we have managers who want to change with managers who do not want to change. Then we have maybe consultants that perhaps sometimes are part of the company or are not part of the company. It's external consultant from other companies with different values and mindsets. For example, in some companies, you can have a team and then you have um, consultant specific, database consultants or anything, can be anything specific from other companies. Maybe they have different values and then you start transforming the company and this guy have a different value. How do you make sure that they are also on board? They also have maybe the CEO of the company that does not understand very well what a great vision is. You have teams that produce software and teams that do not produce software, and you have to make sure all of them have different mindsets. And then you have also the customers, right? And then obviously this is an ecosystem. You have this company realizing other companies, etc. So when you want to make a change, things become quite complex. And then today the idea is to show you very, very interesting frameworks, change frameworks. And when I travel, I generally talk to many coaches and I coach coaches and I help companies. And I always ask them, which framework you are using for change, which change framework? And sometimes they talk about Scrum or they talk about other things, but this is different. This is not a change framework. A change framework is something it can guide you to have some ideas of how to do a change, right? How to create change or influence change in the company. And that's basically the idea. So today I wanted to show you a couple of things I've seen in companies. Imagine you go to a company and you want to help this team to change, right? So you generally start with individuals, then you go for the team, and then you see how this team interact with other teams, and then you see the whole value stream, how they create value, how they connect with other company and the product, right? So one of the things I found, which is I find it mostly with coaches, agile coaches, is that many times they go to a company, for example, they try to, I don't know, coach the Scrum framework, right? They hire you to go there and teach to how the Scrum framework is, to the event and everything to a team, right? Then something the coaches do not do is to see the history of this team. And this is crucial because I've been working with many companies and many times this team already received 1 year ago or 2 years ago the same coaching or the same training. So the first thing that we have to see is the history of the team, what this team has been done in the last year and a half, which kind of conflict you got or they got, which have kind of problem, which person connect with which person, who has been in the team for the longer, who has the most influential part in the team. But the history of this team, this is something that many coaches forget, and it's very important. And this is for me the first step to start with this kind of high level of coaching a team. And we are going to try to move from the team, from the person to the team, and from the team to the rest of the organization. I'll give you a different framework, right? So first, you need to understand the history, obviously the company and the history of the team. Second, you need to understand the mindset, which kind of mindset this team has. And this is crucial because you are thinking of IT teams, but when we are talking about enterprise agility, we are talking about teams that maybe they do not produce software, or teams that they produce software, but they have many different people in this team, like marketing, financial, and everyone working together. So everyone has a different mindset. For example, if you give people, imagine someone from financial, someone from IT, and someone from marketing, give them the same problem, and the three of them are going to solve the problem with a different outcome. They're going to give you a different outcome, a different solution. This is because the three of them think in a different way. They have different mindsets. So we need to understand the mindsets of these three persons or these three people. And I give you an excellent framework for that. Then we need to understand the context, what is expected as this team is going to achieve. For example, they working remotely or not, how they're going to connect, what the expectations and the vision for that team and the values and the principles are, etc. Then we need to understand the mechanism that we are going to use. And then we need to balance the short term with the with the long term. Maybe we want to do something for the short term, but having in mind that we want to achieve something else, right? And this is basically 5 steps that I always recommend you use with teams. But let me go slowly and teach you different things. When you want to know the story, the history of a team, I generally recommend you use 5 different or evaluate 5 different types of skills. The first one is what I call mechanical skills. Which kind of mechanical skills this team has learned in the year and a half, right? It doesn't mean that it's now, maybe they learned and they forgot. What the skills do they have? Everything which is very mechanical that does not have an impact on emotions, for example, right? Someone call it hard skills, and I'm gonna tell you soon why I do not call hard or soft skills, right? So then this is the first analysis you do, and then you see if there are some of the techniques from the past that maybe can be used with this team instead of using the techniques that you wanted to suggest, right? Maybe they know already something. Then the other skills you need to evaluate in the team is emotional skills, right? Is which kind of communication people have, which kind of, during hard decisions, how do they act? Are people able to hold their emotions where they are high stakes, when they are having a conflict? How do they manage that? And this is all connected to emotions, right? These kind of skills. The different way, I do not have the name, I do not use the name soft skills and hard skills, is because in general, for example, conflict resolution is a soft skill. But for me, it's more mechanical. I've done courses about conflict resolution and it's very mechanical. So I try to split it into mechanical skills and emotional skills, right? Then the other thing you need to understand is mental agility. Mental agility, how flexible people are in the teams. And if you read my book, you know that we can use certain technique like reframing, where increases neuroplasticity, which is this art of seeing product from different perspectives. And then if the team is not very flexible mentally, people in the team, then whatever you're going to do is harder. So maybe you want to work first on mental agility before teaching them emotional skills or mechanical skills. Another thing you need to see is the organizational health, how this team connect with the rest of the organization, and how is the health. For example, in a company where you have a great team, but it's terrible to work, then the performance of that team and the techniques you have to teach are different than techniques in a team that is great in a company which is great, right? And this is very, very important. If the team has all the time pressure to deliver, then probably organizational health is going to be lower, people are going to be scared, innovation is going to go down, and this is the kind of things that happen, right? So once we understand the history of this team, we need to understand the mindset. And everyone talk about agile mindset, but I wanted to show you something different. This is something I came up with the second edition of my book, and I will explain to you. I hope, hopefully it's gonna help you, which is what I call the pyramid of the change journey. The pyramid of the change journey says that every person goes through 5 different mindsets. Depending on the mindset where this person is the technique you use. And in a team, you can have people with different mindsets, and then the techniques are different. Let me try to explain to you. So the closer you are to the top, the easier it is for that person to embrace change. So at the bottom, we have a mindset where the person said, I want things to be as I say, I don't care about you. When someone does not care about you, it's because they care just about them. And why these people care about them? These people care about them because in general, this very low level, the person has very subconscious fears about losing prestige in the company, losing the position, or losing power, for example, right? And when this happens, even if you teach Scrum, even if you teach to the person and you explain, that's not going to work well. At this very foundation with people in this level, even if you show PowerPoint to this person, I'm so sorry, guy, but that's not going to work at all. What you have to do at this level is to reinforce the sense of security and see what are the fears. Some of the fear, be careful, because are maybe subconscious, and then you are not going to be able to see that straightforward, but you have to read between lines. At this level, anyone with this mindset, you need to reinforce the sense of security in the company, that they are not going to lose power. For example, if you are creating new roles in the company, then you might be able to integrate that person into the design of the new roles. But you need to make sure that in here it's all about conscious subconscious fear. When you overcome this level, the person moves to this following level, which is I don't like the proposed change. What it means that the person do not like the proposed change is that maybe at this point, this person still believes that their idea is better than the other idea, right? When this person do not like the proposed changes, maybe this person do not have the skills, maybe this person do not want to change. And I want to tell you something that happened to me a few years ago. We were running transformation in a company, and a team didn't want to change at all. It was, I don't like the proposed change at all. And the company invested a lot of money, and they were trying to find out what happened, why they want to change. And one day I was talking to that team, and I discovered that that team had developed a piece of software some years before, and they were very proud. And with the change, the company was replacing that software, and they felt very, very proud of this piece of software. So they didn't want anyone to replace it. So that's why they didn't like the proposed change. So when someone do not like the proposed change, there are some emotions that are a little bit more positive emotions about, okay, I'm proud of what I have done. In here, when you don't like the proposed change, you need to understand what's the motivation for the person. And the motivation is not that subconscious as the previous one. You need to listen to this person and try to integrate this person into the flow of change. But you need to show this person that you can take some of their ideas on board. When that happens, the third mindset we have is I do not understand why they changed. When the person do not understand why they changed, is maybe, or in general, a lack of information or skills. In here, yes, you can teach Scrum, you can teach new skills. It's all about new skills. We focus on the new skills, and this is more what you do in a company, teaching, coaching, etc. But with the levels below, the solution is different. When the person finally understand, oh, maybe it's a good idea, because at this level, the person start realizing that there is my point of view and there is the other one, and maybe the other one have some good ideas. The important thing here at this level is that the other person, maybe who is proposing the change, is right. And then I start being curious about that. But you need to provide people with the skills at this level. This is all about skills. And then the person moves to the following level, which is I do not understand why we must change. So the person moves from the individual, I should change, to the team level, we must change. At this level, the person is convinced that he or she needs to change, but this person needs the whole team to change, right? So if the person do not see the team changing, she's not going to change. So at this point, it's more about a team level, making sure there is a proper vision for the team, there are proper working agreement, the team feels on board, they feel they have the skill, they feel they are working on the same direction, and they work as a team, there are not many dysfunctionalities in the team, etc. And what happened after this, guys? After you solve all this, you move to the 5th level, which is change. The person is ready to change, right? Something very important about the pyramid of the change journey, I want you to, after this conversation we are having, is that you take a look at this pyramid, you see it maybe tomorrow or the day after, and you start writing down in a team that maybe you could remember who is in which level here and which techniques you can use, right? And remember, in the same team, you can have people at different levels of the triangle, and even for if the person is living at the same time different changes, he can be at different levels in different changes, right? So I want you to write some questions that I'll answer at the end. Just write it down, yeah? And let me know if you have questions about the triangle. And I hope you write to me in the next couple of weeks or months and tell me, Eric, it was very useful how to see people with 5 mindsets. So we don't see people as they don't want to change or they are waterfall and they are agile. We try to see people with these 5 mindsets because this mindset help us understand what to solve. You know, if I tell you, oh, this person does not want to be doing Scrum or Agile, it does not help to solve a problem. And healthy people follow this path. Okay? Are we okay with that? I hope you do it at home, right? And then let me show you a recommendation for you. As I'm going to give you some frameworks and some recommendations today. Context. I try to take a context here that it happens to everyone. Try to understand what's happening with the team. Now, all the teams have to work remotely, or they have some members who are remotely and other members are not. So using Zoom for companies is the worst idea you can have, guys. Forget about that. Forget about Zoom, forget about Skype. And I want to tell you why. In a company, what you have to do is to what we call rebuild the social environment. So people can be remote or people can be local, but all of them feel they are in the same room, they move, they can see how to move, etc. And rebuild the social environment. Imagine you are in an office, right? In an office, you can see all the radiators. I mean, Kanban or information about different things. You can see social interactions, how people interact between them. And then your brain is like a machine. They are always making conclusions about this, right? Then you have recognition of visible facial expressions. For example, imagine that two people are talking and one person is upset, and this person is talking to someone who is not upset, and then your brain is making conclusions, right? And this is very, very important. The brain is always trying to detect what's happening in the environment. And finally, they can see actions. For example, imagine that someone from your team is meeting someone who is an expert in databases. And you see that person, the member of your team, meeting someone from the team, from another team that is an expert in databases. Then, if you have a problem with the database, you might ask first the person from your team, because your brain is assuming that if that person is regularly meeting someone that is related to databases, then maybe the person from your team has information about databases, right? Your brain is creating this map. But all this disappears and vanishes when you are working with Skype or working with Zoom or doing something that is just working and seeing the other people's face. So in here we have tools like this, like Soco, which helps you rebuild and there are other tools, this environment, your offices. So you basically draw the offices, and then everyone has an avatar, and they can move to the offices. A floor, a whole floor in a building, and we move many teams there. We put cameras all around the offices, and we connected these cameras to the different offices. So everyone could click in a room, move the avatar to the room, and he was or she was inside that room. We put the speakers, the person could talk, the person could click on the room and see For example, the Kanbans, there were cameras, they could interact. So we broke the barrier between these virtual and real environments. For 2016, imagine that it was quite new, right? And then when you rebuild this social environment, imagine you open this tool in the morning and you see that everyone is meeting in a room. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go there, right? Because you have the social information. If you see people moving, you can go into the room. You can even lock the doors, but there are many pieces of software. The idea is that you reveal the social environment. The more you reveal the social environment, the more business value you're gonna produce. The less you reveal the social environment, and business value is going to drop because communication with people is indirect. We also know that when you just talk face to face with someone and there is no this social environment was not revealed, then your brain tries to imagine the social environment. And the latest research says that you become super tired because your brain, when you talk, imagine you talk to a colleague, a developer or a manager, and you have meetings all the day, your brain is trying to calculate what is around. And you become very, very tired. So advice, guys, context. Now all the teams have, context can be anything, but I just give you an example, right? And then remember the connection between the environment and this value stream. The more distributed you are, the less connected you are, the less social or virtual environment you have, business value goes down, okay? And then improve communities of practices. Make sure if everyone is remote, you do sessions where people teach each other, try to reinforce that. We learned that in this time is very important. And then daily balancing skills. If you have different teams and they need, for example, one team does not have a UX, another team has a UX, then do not put a manager to decide that this UX can be shared. Allow the teams to talk between them and to organize these skills. Maybe they can talk to the UX and say, hey, can you come here for 2 or 3 hours a week and help us? Try to make sure they have the power, right? Then mechanisms. Something I learned, very, very important, is if we want the company to adapt faster, one mechanism I want to suggest is what I call the rapid response room. It's a physical room where everyone can go there. In general, I recommend do not use chairs. Forget about chairs. And then in the walls, you have all information about the market, about what is happening there, etc. The key here is everyone can go inside that room. Obviously, that room can be rebuilt in a virtual way, so people can go there remotely or locally. And the idea is that we accelerate information flow. People can learn, but the most important thing is everyone can go there. Imagine I'm a person from marketing. I discovered that someone else or the company released a better product than us today. So what I'm gonna do, I will call the developers, the managers, everyone related to the product we are producing, right? Creating into the room. And we're gonna make a decision. Maybe we're gonna cancel the sprint, maybe we're gonna go ahead, and we are gonna also run a session maybe where we change the priorities. And after we exit that room, there is a new plan to test something. So everyone can go, not just managers, make decisions and go outside. When they go outside, everyone's up to date of what's happening. Maybe we need to cancel whatever we were doing, we need to change something, but this rapid response room is a room where you go inside, you detect a change in the market, you call everyone involved, we make a decision, we are outside, and we continue, right? The idea is that you have new feedback, you have new hypotheses, and you want to test that in the market, right? And then obviously you refine and improve if you can. Suggest that to companies is a great thing to accelerate as long as it's not hierarchical, so everyone can go into that role, right? So I hope you are doing well, and I give you now the short term versus long term, right? I need just a little bit of water, and I explain to you what it means. Whatever change the company needs to do, you need to know what they want to achieve in the short term, medium, and long term, right? Now, there are things you want to achieve in the short term, and things you want to achieve in long term. Companies need to get used to that. They cannot achieve everything all the time, right? They have to give up something to get something else. And in here is where I created these 5 levels of agility, which allow us to see, even if whatever you want to achieve is next week or in the next 3 months, whatever the change, in order to get the most, in order to adapt better, you need to consider 5 different levels of agility, right? And then if you consider these 5 levels of agility for any change you want to do, short term or long term, you're going to be more successful. So first thing is what we call mental agility. Mental agility is, and this is part of a framework I talk in my book called Enterprise Agility or Business Agility. So it's how flexible people mentally are. If people are not very flexible mentally, whatever you teach them, they're not going to develop or evolve it, right? And we have, as consultant, we have specific techniques to improve mental agility. So people being able to see a problem from different perspective, right? And to make sure they feel comfortable with that perspective, right? The second level of agility we have is what we call social agility. How we make these people connect. Are they local? Are they remote? It's a hybrid environment, but how these people connect. The better the people connect, the more agility they have. If they connect very well, then information is going to flow better in the organization, right? Then next level of agility is outcomes agility. How comfortable people are if the company change the adjust their strategy from one day to another. We are producing something, and then from tomorrow we start producing something different. How flexible we are, how flexible we are with the budget, how flexible we are with these changes, how flexible we are about everything, right? And then how people feel with that, how well people feel with that. And then in here, the more flexible people are, then the better and the faster and the more resilient you're going to be and the company is going to be. Then we have what we call structural agility, which is how well or how good you are at changing procedures in the company, right? If there was a change in the market and you need to change the procedures, how quickly you can change, how healthy it is to change it. And then, for example, if you change procedures that impact on someone, if you are integrating on that person. And finally, this is what you call, many people call agile. That for me is technical agility, right? So you tell me, well, Eric, how does it work? Okay, imagine you want to make a change, something very small. You want to install a tool into an IT team, new tool. Well, let me tell you what happened to me. We installed a tool in IT team, and then we needed to have someone with a mobile phone 24/7 in case the application crash. This person had to be able to come to the office. So we need to change the procedures, right? To allow this person to come to the office, maybe at 3 in the morning. But we also needed to make sure that, for example, something that happened is this person came at 3 or 4 in the morning and crashed the car. Nothing happened to the person really, but we also needed insurance for that person, etc., etc., etc. So we need some agility, structural agility to change things. Then this person also needed to connect well with the rest of the team, which how people are going to connect with the team. If the person is not here, how we at 3 in the morning, how we going to connect with the team, how they connect during the day. This team had to make decisions. For example, this person were allowed to come later. The person, we call it samurai, the person that were able to solve this problem, right? So this social agility, how we reframe that we connect for people to be able to adapt to the market. And then mental agility, how these people could see the problem from different perspectives. So what I'm telling you, this is a very simple example, but the idea here is every change you do, you need to tick these 5 levels of agility. When I say to tick, is that when you make a change, it's not just that change. If it's like this, if you make to install a new tool or release something, you need to make sure you double check the other types of agility. The more you check the other type of agility. Maybe you need to change processes. Maybe with that change, you need to make sure people connect better. The more you take a look at these 5 different of agility, where you create a change in the company, the more resilient the company is going to be, faster to adapt, and people are going to embrace change faster, right? And this is basically a great tool for you that you can use whenever you want to make any change, right? And then if, for example, you have an organizational improvement backlog in the company, then you might also change that all these changes you want to do support these 5 types of agility. So in that way, the organization is going to grow in a healthy way, and it's going to be able to change, right? This is what I have to tell you today, guys. And then I'm happy to answer questions. That I think this is probably the best part for the conference, not when I talk, but when you ask me question, I try to help you with your different perspectives. So tell me what you think. Tell me what your questions are, what your doubts, and then I will be able to help you with that.